Hello friends, welcome to Premier UPSC IAS YouTube channel. From today we are starting PT365 revision series for prelims 2023. Do subscribe to our channel for more videos. Now without further ado, let's dive into it. You must know that PT365 are a real scorer in both prelims and mains. Most of the questions in prelims can be directly asked or taken from or derived from PT365. One has to prepare PT365 intensively, considering it a current affairs part, and also dive into the static part of that topic and revise it multiple times. So watch this video multiple times before the exam. Hopefully one could easily score good marks from environment by reading PT 365 environment for 2023. Let's directly dive into it. We will cover PT 365 with the static part also. So climate change. So first heading what we are going to cover is climate change. In order to look after the current affair topics of the climate change given in the PT365, first let's understand what is climate change. Climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns. That is called as climate change. So what is climate change? It is long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns. These shifts may be natural, such as through variations in the solar cycle. But since the 1800s, human activities have been the main reason of climate change. Even though climate change could happen in natural ways like variations in solar cycle, but since 1800s human activities have been the main driver of climate change, primarily due to burning fossil fuels like coal, oil and gases. Burning fossil fuels generates greenhouse gas emissions. All through these PT365 we are going to see, we are going to get these words: climate change, greenhouse gas emissions, fossil fuels, a lot of terms we are going to see. So let's understand what those terms are. So greenhouse gas emissions are nothing but they are generated from after burning the fossil fuels. They act like a blanket wrapped around the earth. They are wrapped around the earth. They don't fall down on the surface, and they trap the sun's heat, and by that they raise the temperature, and that will cause the global warming. So this is the simplest explanation of what are greenhouse gases and what is global warming. So burning fossil fuels generates greenhouse gas emissions that act like a blanket wrapped around the earth, trapping the sun's heat and raising temperatures. Examples of greenhouse gas emissions that are causing climate change include carbon dioxide and methane. So lot of the topics which we are going to cover in these PT365 also are, we will be seeing about carbon dioxide and methane. These come from using gasoline for driving a car or coal for heating a building. For example, clearing land and forest can also release carbon dioxide. Landfills for garbage are a major source of methane emissions. So major source of methane emissions are landfills for garbage. Energy industry, transport, buildings, agriculture and land use are among other emitters. So this is simple explanation about climate change, greenhouse gas emissions, what is global warming, and the important greenhouse gas emissions about carbon dioxide and methane. So let's dive into the direct topics here. The topics here we are having is IPCC 6 Assessment Report Part 3. So IPCC, what is IPCC? It's a static part. Direct question can be asked from IPCC itself. Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. It is headquartered in Geneva. It is headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland. Okay, and it is an intergovernmental panel that we have to understand. Okay, now it is an organization which was created in 1988 by World Meteorological Organization. It was created by WMO and United Nations Environment Program. Now, as IPCC itself is a static part and a question can be expected, so is the case with World Meteorological Organization WMO and UNEP, United Nations Environment Program, that we can look later on. So that is the important thing here. UNEP is very important, okay, and also WMO very important. Direct static question can be asked to provide governments at all levels with scientific information. The important function is scientific information. IPCCs, it is the UN body for assessing the science related to climate change. It was created by WMO. It is a UN body. 195 members are present. India is the member. India is the member. That could be also a important question, okay. Sometimes it is asked. Other key information is it prepares assessment reports, special reports, methodology reports assessing the state of climate change. It is prepared in such a way. Methodology reports, assessment reports, special reports. It does not itself engage in scientific research. It will give the work to other parties, and that scientific research is assessed and presented here. IPCC was awarded Nobel Prize, Peace Prize in 2007. So this is about IPCC. It is a static part and the question can be asked directly from here. So IPCC releases different reports. This is the third report, okay, and part 3 of that report. IPCC released the third part of the sixth assessment report. So AR6. Sometimes these words can be asked as a question. AR6, commonly seen in news, is all about. Even that could be a question in prelims. These type of questions are frequently asked in prelims. Assessment report 6, AR6, it is all about. It is going to ask such type of questions. So sixth report is being produced and it comes in 3 parts. The third one is climate change 2022, mitigation of climate change. The working group 3 contribution to sixth assessment report, AR6. Third part, the theme can also be a question sometime, okay. Now moving forward, what does this report tell? This report provides an updated global assessment of climate change mitigation, progress and pledges. Which countries and what are they doing in order to control, in order to regulate the climate change? What progress have they achieved? What is the progress they have achieved through this mitigation, and what are the pledges they are taking, and what are those pledges which are taken globally, and to what level are they following? This is being assessed by IPCC assessment report. This is the sixth one. Other reports are also produced by IPCC. For example, the part 1 was released in 2021. The theme was climate change 2021 physical science basis. The second part was climate change 2022 impacts, adaptation and vulnerability. Now third part which is released is mitigation of climate change. Now the other synthesis report is also released in 2023. It is recently released. I think it is released today itself. Synthesis report scheduled to be released in 2023. The synthesis report intergovernmental panel on climate change, AR6 synthesis report, recently released. It is a sobering account of present and future damages to ecosystem. This is also an important addition to the IPCC reports now, which is not present in this PT365. Moving forward, so what does it do? What are the mitigation targets for achieving global goals as per the IPC AR6? Even that could be a question. Sometimes these mitigation targets can be asked as a multiple choice questions. IPC AR6. What are the mitigation targets? Okay, this could be question. First is to limit the global warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade. okay, to reach the net zero carbon dioxide emission by 2050. So global warming limiting 1.5 degree by 2030, and global net zero carbon dioxide by 2050, and methane to be reduced by 34% 2030. Even these three statements, if you remember, then you can easily attempt the question asked from the mitigation targets of IPCC AR6. So that you should remember all these things. Moving forward, key findings. What are the findings? This is a detailed report. If you can go through, okay, go through and also by heart this one. So but key findings are important, but if you try to remember everything from these key findings, sometimes it will help you to write in the mains exam also. So let's understand directly what are the key findings. Emission trends, what is the level of emissions, which countries are doing what type of emissions, that trend is being assessed here. From 2010 to 2019, the anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions continued to rise. Anthropogenic, in simple words, it is all about human released because of the human activities. So that is in rise. Emissions due to the human activities, greenhouse gas emissions is being rising continuously. From 1850 to present, cumulative net carbon dioxide emissions have also rose. This is okay, it is obvious fact. Net anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions increased since 2020 2010 across all major sectors globally. These sectors is present in these pie diagram, and a question can be asked, which sector is highest emitter of carbon dioxide in anthropogenic activities? The answer is energy supply sector, 34%. The least is, so this could be question. Sometimes it is asked factual based questions from the pie chart. You just have to remember this point wise. Now the second assessment finding is variation in regional contributions to grow global greenhouse gas emissions. So different countries are emitting greenhouse gas emissions at different levels, but the whole globe is getting affected. So different countries have different targets pertaining to the region they belong to. That is the main important concept here. At least 18 countries sustain the greenhouse gas emission reductions. This is very very important. Even greenhouse gas emission reductions are also being observed in different countries, 18 countries. If suppose there is a question about greenhouse gas emissions, a general understanding question is asked, like greenhouse gas emissions are continuously in rise from all the 190 countries, then that statement will be wrong. 18 countries has been shown to lower the reductions. Least developed countries, LDCs, okay, and small island developed states have much lower per capita emissions. Per capita emissions, it is easy to understand, the word itself is describing there, than the global average, excluding carbon dioxide emitted from land use change and forestry. So simply put, 18 countries are showing reduced greenhouse gas emission, especially least developed countries and small island developing states. But though in even in these countries who are having reduced greenhouse gas emissions, they are excluding the LULUCF, that is land use change and forestry. Now even just this term is very important. Sometimes even this term could be asked as a question. LULUCF, commonly seen in the news, is about, or full form about it, or what is the target about it, what is its definition, etc., can be asked. So what is LULUCF? Basically the LULUCF, that is land use and land use change and forestry sector, is used to report the carbon dioxide flows between different terrestrial reservoirs. So carbon dioxide flow between different reservoirs on the terrestrial region. Okay, this and the atmosphere. Between these two, this flow is being considered as LULUCF. On the managed surface of a territory, it can be carbon dioxide constitute a net source or a net sink. Sometimes LULUCF can act as a source of carbon dioxide emitter, and sometimes it can act as a sink also, carbon sink also. This is an important fact about LULUCF. So why is LULUCF data is being excluded? Why is LULUCF data been excluded? This concept you have to understand. The reasons for focusing on emissions excluding the LULUCF are the importance of decreasing carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gas emissions from fossil fuel combustion, industry, agriculture and waste sources in order to limit warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade. It is excluded especially so that if we exclude this one, at least the major sources will be focused. People will have major contributors in their mind. The importance of fossil fuel combustion, industry, agriculture and other sources of global warming. In order to emphasize more on the most important contributors, they are excluding the LULUCF. The other reason is there is very less data about the LULUCF emissions. There is a lot of uncertainty. That is one of the reason. So LULUCF, what is LULUCF and why it is being excluded when it comes to assessment of global greenhouse gas emissions? That is the important understanding. Inadequate current policies, it is just a assessment from the report. Median global warming of 3.2 centigrade by 2100 without strengthening of policies. It is such a problem. The current policies are inadequate. Climate finance, financial flows are 3 to 6 times lower than the levels needed by 2030. So these are just general statement we can write in mains exam pertaining to prelims. There is nothing much here. Moving forward, methane emissions. As in the starting of this video I was explaining that we are going to cover a lot about methane. First of all, let's see what is methane. This is the static patch. Methane is a gas. It is a colorless gas. Okay, this is a colorless gas. It is an odorless gas. Primarily it is a component of natural gas. Sometimes this fact can be asked in prelims itself. The lifespan of the methane in the atmosphere is 20 years. Compared to carbon dioxide, it is less, but it is potent. Global warming potential is high. Lifespan is low, but global warming potential is very high, 80 times greater than the carbon dioxide. That is also one of the reason why methane is being considered one of the very next mitigating greenhouse gas in almost every climate change conferences and pledges nowadays. So it is about methane, responsible for more than 25% of the global warming. These are fact you have to remember. Maybe asked sometime, you can write in the mains exam. India is among the top 5 methane emitters in the world. It is the top 5 methane emitters in the world. Just you have to remember it. It won't be asked, but you can write in the mains exam. Methane gas, its characteristic features: a lifespan lesser than carbon dioxide, potential 80 times greater than the carbon dioxide, 25% of the global warming. This chart which is present here, this is very important, and from this we can derive few statements. For example, wetlands are highest producers of methane, 161.6 million tons per year. Next is fossil fuel extraction, then next is livestock. Okay, so production of methane from different sources is been present here. Maybe this could come as a question. The least one is termites and other wild animals. So moving forward, recently global methane assessment, the report itself shows what is the report all about 2030 baseline report was released by Climate and Clean Air Coalition, CCAC. This term is going to be repeated multiple times. We are going to study what is Climate and Clean Air Coalition very soon. Stay tuned. And UNEP, United Nations Environment Program. So Climate and Clean Air Coalition, CCAC, and United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, both combined released the report called as Global Methane Assessment Report. The report is named as 2030 Baseline Report. Sometimes this itself is a question. It is very highly possible that this itself is a global question in prelims. A global methane assessment report is released by, it is released by CCAC and UNEP. So what does this report tell about and what is the importance of this report? Let's see. So a report was launched at Climate and Clean Air Ministerial meeting at the 27th conference, COP27, to United Nations Framework Convention to Climate Change, UNFCCC. We are going to study what is UNFCCC very soon. Stay tuned. Don't confuse now. As of now, consider that these are few organizations. Okay. So released by CCAC and UNEP, released at COP27 meeting of Climate and Clean Air Ministerial meeting and presented to UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. It examines the baseline projections of methane emissions for over the coming decade. In the future 10 years, what should be the baseline for methane emissions and how are we going to project to control, regulate and mitigate the methane emission? That is the whole this report about. And implications for global methane pledge target. What is the global methane pledge? We are going to study very soon. So there is a global methane pledge. The term itself says that globally many countries are taking the pledge to control methane emissions. The target and the target's implications is being also studied in the global methane assessment. This is about methane, global methane assessment report. Moving forward, what is first of all global methane pledge? Before that one, the key findings is very important. 260% of pre-industrial levels. Before the industry is present, before the industrial revolution, and compared to that and today's time, the methane in the atmosphere is almost 260% more. Human driven methane emissions are responsible for nearly 45% of the current net warming. 2021 saw the largest annual increase. These are just facts. Mostly prelims questions are not expected from these facts, but one has to remember these facts in order to understand all about the methane and also write in the mains examination. Moving forward, let's see what is global methane pledge. The term itself explains globally different countries are going to take the pledge about methane emissions. Recently, Australia joined the global methane pledge. India is not a member. This is very important. India is not a member. Australia has joined. This question could be misleading sometimes because it is a fact-based question. Launched at COP26 in 2021 to catalyze the, as I have already said, the name itself tells what is the intention behind this group. So to reduce the methane emissions, it is led by US and European Union. Both are leading this one. India is not a member and Australia recently joined it. It aims to collectively reduce methane emissions by at least 30% below by 2030. 30% below by 2030. That is very important. More than 100 country participants together responsible for 45% of the global human caused methane emissions are member. India did not sign the pledge. Why? Because its concerns over the impact on trade, on the country's vast farm sector, role of livestock in rural economy. Because of these reasons, as of now, India did not sign, even though India is obviously understand such a issue and supports in every sense, but did not take a pledge because it is going to affect a lot, major part of the rural economy when it comes to methane. Now, next, moving forward, what is Global Energy Monitor. As per Global Energy Monitor, just 30 fossil fuel companies account for nearly half of the planet warming methane emitted by the world's energy sector. Energy sector, we have studied recently here. Energy sector, net anthropogenic, net anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions, energy sector. Moving forward, and in the energy sector also, almost 30 fossil fuel companies are for nearly responsible for half of the planet warming. So moving forward, Global Energy Monitor, it's a non-profit organization. It's an NGO which aims to develop and share information in support of the worldwide movement for clean energy. Global Energy Monitor. The word itself describes what is the subject or the topic of its the concern they are taking about. Okay, so Global Methane Pledge, Global Energy Monitor could be direct fact-based questions for prelims. You should remember. Moving forward, International Methane Emissions Observatory. This is a fact-based question. Just you have to remember, understand it as of now. It's a fact. You have to revise for you to do the answer correctly when if asked in prelims. According to report by International Methane Emissions Observatory, cutting methane emissions is fastest way to tackle the climate change in short term. The term short term here obviously is very understandable because methane is short lived, and but it is the fastest way to tackle climate change because methane is 80 times more potential. So that if you have that concept behind the methane, then obviously this International Methane Emission Observatory's report will be understood very easily. Moving forward, the question here it is, what is the aim of IMEO? To catalyze the reduction of methane emissions starting with fossil fuel sector. That is important here. Okay, moving forward, NASA's Earth Surface Mineral Dust Source Investigation EMIT mission. Sometimes it could be asked as a direct question. What is EMIT mission? Sometimes seen in the news. EMIT mission, NASA's mission. Okay, it is name is EMIT. Now there could be a lot of confusion when trying to answer this question given in the options, because this EMIT mission is from NASA, we will think it all about the space mission, but no, it is about the climate change, especially about the methane. So let's see what it is. Methane super emitters were mapped by the NASA. The methane super emitters were mapped. Which country is highest in emitting the methane? That was mapped by NASA's Earth Surface Mineral Dust Source Investigation. That is a investigation mission which is going to map different things from the space. EMIT mission helped to identify more than 50 super emitters of the methane gas in Central Asia, West Asia, and Southwestern and United States. Super emitters are facilities, equipment, other infrastructure typically in the fossil fuel, waste, agriculture sectors that emit methane at higher rate. That has to be understood. That's all. NASA EMIT mission by NASA, it's about methane. If you know this one, obviously you will not be misled and you can answer the question very easily. Next topic is ocean acidification. There were 3 to 4 times there is a previous year question on ocean acidification, so there is high probability of this question being asked for the next prelim. So please listen carefully. Okay, now what is ocean acidification? Simple words, it is reduction in the pH of the ocean water. It is the reduction in the pH of the ocean water. That is it. Okay, that is a simple explanation. How does ocean acidification works? How does it work? It is simple understood because of the global warming. For example, late 1800s there was a reduced acidity of the ocean because there was lower concentration of the atmospheric carbon dioxide. But nowadays, especially by 2100, it is going to have higher concentration, and that will obviously, because ocean acts as a carbon sink, it will produce lots of carbonic acids, free hydrogen ions, and bicarbonate, and that will decrease the pH. You can see here that is decrease the pH, and that is called as ocean acidification because of the global warming, primarily because of carbon dioxide greenhouse gas. Okay, now what is it affect? What does it do? What is the problem with such a ocean acidification? Okay, it is harmful for a lot of marine animals, ocean life. Okay, that is simple answer. Uptake of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere is the major cause of ocean acidifications. So why was this in news? Because there was a team of researchers in the Arctic Ocean region. Arctic region is an important prelims question. Anything and everything in and around Arctic can be a question. So wherever you see Arctic Circle, Arctic region, Arctic summit, then that is a very important star mark question that you have to remember. Okay, so they have seen that near the Arctic Ocean region, acidity levels are increasing. It means pH value is decreasing 3 to 4 times. That was the simple research. Because of that one, now we are going to study about ocean acidification. There is one more report called as Global Ocean Acidification Observation Network, GOA-ON. It is a global collaborative international network established in 2012. The aim is to detect and understand the drivers of ocean acidification. What are the causes? Who is playing major role in ocean acidification? That is the main role of Global Ocean Acidification Observation Network, GOA-ON. Okay, moving forward about Arctic region. As I told you earlier, Arctic region is an important region that you have to understand. And question can be easily asked. It is a static part linked with current affairs. So area within the Arctic Circle, a line of latitude about 66.5 degree north of the equator, is called as Arctic Circle. That is called as Arctic Circle. You have to remember. Okay, see this Arctic Circle. Moving forward, geographic region spreading around the North Pole. Significance, why it is important? Because melting of ice due to climate change making region more accessible for economic exploitation. Once this region is melted, then obviously people are going to explore that region for oil and gas reserves, metals and minerals. That will be a big problem. Actually, it is an exploitation. Okay, possibilities of open northern sea route and new trade route could come out. So let's continue. We were seeing about Arctic Circle, Arctic region, world's climate change barometer. That could be simple question also asked in prelims. All about Arctic region. It is not important for prelims. This area, this one is for mains, but this word could be asked as a prelims question, and sometimes from the geography part this could be a PYQ, but other than that one I don't think there is any importance. India in Arctic also could be asked as a PYQ, as a prelims question, or you can also remember it for mains examination. Okay, Arctic research program since 2007, first Arctic policy unveiled by India. Observers in the Arctic Council. Indian Arctic Station Himadri is located at Norway and serves as a hub of Indian scientific investigation since 2008. So this Himadri itself could be a question. It is an Indian Arctic Station, scientific investigation station. Okay, now moving forward. Arctic amplification, AA. Even this simple Arctic amplification, AA, could be a question. Sometimes AA seen in the news, what was it about? It could be a simple question. What is Arctic amplification? You can understand here simply. It is enhancement of near surface air temperature change. Near surface air temperature change over the Arctic relative to lower latitudes. Compared to the lower latitudes, see, this region is lower latitudes. Okay, compared to lower latitudes, the relative near surface air temperature change is called as Arctic amplification. That is simple. So why is it news? Because Arctic is heating up 4 times as fast as rest of the world due to Arctic amplification. You can see easily here global warming is causing Arctic amplification. You can see, okay, global warming, melting of sea ice, snow, which causes intensified biological activity in the ocean, which causes less reflection, more absorption, warming up of the upper ocean layer, larger energy flow, and rise in air temperature at the earth's surface. That is Arctic amplification, the whole understanding of the Arctic amplification. Okay, so causes of Arctic amplification are basically global warming, ice albedo feedback, lapse rate feedback, water vapor and feedback, and ocean heat feedback. So among these one also, even these albedo feedback and lapse rate feedback could be direct questions asked. Definition could be a direct question for prelims. What is ice albedo feedback? Simply put, ice albedo feedback is a positive feedback climate process where a change in the area of ice caps, glaciers and sea ice alters the albedo and surface temperature of a planet. More simply explained, it is ice is very reflective compared to other water. Okay, so ice is reflecting the sunlight, therefore it reflects far more solar energy back to space than the other types of land area or open water. That is called as ice albedo feedback. There is a positive feedback for the climate process. And in the same way, what is lapse rate feedback? Lapse rate feedback is the coupling. It is actually amalgamation. It is mixing of 2 to 3 things. Let's see. It is the coupling between surface air temperature changes in the surface air temperature and changes in the region that radiate out to the space, upper troposphere, leading to change in how much the atmosphere cools with height, which again affects the efficiency of the greenhouse effect. That is lapse rate feedback. Definition. Let's see once again what is lapse rate feedback. What is lapse rate feedback? Okay, lapse rate feedback is the coupling between, it is about 2 things. What is that? Surface air temperature change in the region, and that leading to a change in how much the atmosphere cools. That is lapse rate feedback. Moving forward, zombie ice. This could be a simple question, directly asked, fact-based question, very important. Let's see what is zombie ice. Zombie ice is, or doomed ice, is nothing but Greenland ice sheet, which is eventually raising the global sea level by at least 10 inches. It's the ice that is still attached to thicker areas of ice, but is no longer getting fed by those larger glaciers, because parent glaciers are getting less replenishing snow. That is called as zombie ice. Mainly it affects the global sea level because it is zombie. It is not. It is very dangerous. Okay. Arctic Report 2022 released by US-based National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Further, again, we are also going to see this term, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. It releases Arctic Report Card annually every year since 2006. It is a peer-reviewed source that provide an up-to-date environment information on Arctic. The important findings are: continues to warm more than twice as fast as the rest of the globe, persistent summer sea ice due to cooler surface waters and north winds at Chungchi Sea. We are going to see what is Chungchi Sea in coming sections of the video. Please stay tuned and watch the video till last. Okay. Moving forward, international conferences, convention initiatives are very important, and compulsory one prelims question will be asked from this region. Okay, let's continue. So the important here is COP27. Nowadays, almost for 3 to 4 months, every news was all about COP27. So what is COP27? COP27 is a conference of parties of UNFCCC. What is COP27? Simply put, COP27 is the conference of parties of UNFCCC. We recently held at Sharm el Sheikh in Egypt. Okay, that is COP27. What is COP27? It aims to build on previous successes, including the Glasgow Climate Pact of COP27 26, and pave the way for higher ambition, all about climate finance, climate change mitigation, etc. Also included the 17th session of COP, serving the parties to the Kyoto Protocol. It was present. CMP 17 of the parties to the Kyoto Protocol was also a part of COP27 of the UNFCCC. Okay, and Paris Agreement also was seen. Concluded with release of Sharm el Sheikh implementation plan. That is very important. We'll see what is that. Okay, major outcomes of COP26 in the 2021 in Glasgow was these. First ever COP decision to explicitly target. Explicitly means taking the targets in a more realistic, outspoken, not just mere words. Real action based things are being taken, told, and targets are given. That is called as explicitly taken targets. First happened in COP26, that is in Glasgow. Finalization of international carbon markets has happened in COP26 2021 Glasgow. Okay, post COP26 Bonn Climate Change Conference was held, with outcomes such as first technical dialogue of the global stocktake, draft of a global goal on adaptation. Direct fact-based question. One prelims question could be asked from here. So just note down it. Listen to this video multiple times, and so that it will be present in your mind. Moving forward, what are the key outcomes? There are many key outcomes of the whole COP27. We are going to see only those important parts which are important for prelims based. Almost everything is important when it comes to mains exam. You have to write, if questions asked about COP27, you have to write almost everything. But when it comes to prelims, the important facts are these things. Glasgow Sharm el Sheikh Work Program, Article 21C, Santiago Network, KJWA Coronivia Joint Work for Agriculture. Let's see later. So what was Glasgow Sharm el Sheikh Work Program? This is about global goal on adaptation. It was about global goal on adaptation. They developed a framework, and in 2023 at COP28 they are going to have that one. That was also taken as a key outcome. Okay, Article 21C of the Sharm el Sheikh dialogue is financial flows aligned with global temperature targets. According to the targets, the financial target should be taken. That is all about Article 2.1C. I'm very sorry. Okay, institutional arrangements for operationalization of Santiago network was taken. The host of the secretariat of the network will be selected by 2023. It's about loss and damage. Santiago network, loss and damage. That simple fact link is enough for prelims. Okay, nothing more. Moving forward, what is Coronivia Joint Work for Agriculture? It is the only program to focus on agriculture and food security under UNFCCC. I think you have understood the importance of this statement. That's it. Moving forward, there are a lot of things here which is not important as of now for what we call as prelims 2023. We will discuss this for mains. As of now, there are nothing more important here. The one thing which is important here, it is this one, JETP. JETP is very important. What is JETP? It is Just Energy Transition Partnership by Indonesia. Was presented sidelines of the G20 summit. It was presented there. And climate finance agreement. It is all about climate finance agreement in which donor countries work together. First GTEP announced in 2020 by South Africa and international partners group of France, Germany, UK, US, and European Union. This is important when it comes to prelims. And first movers coalition is also important for prelims. Climate investment funds is also important because it included India. 72 middle and lower income countries, including India, are part of this largest multilateral climate fund focused on transformational climate innovation. That is very important. Okay, JETP is important for prelims. Other things can be studied extensively for mains. Okay, in the next video we are going to study about UNFCC. Okay, we are going to study a lot other topics of the environment and connecting it with the static part. And so wait for the part 2 of the PT365 environment. Stay tuned, do subscribe to the channel. A lot of other videos are coming in our channel, and share to your friends. Thank you.